Hello friends, and welcome to our channel. If you're interested in fashion and costuming like myself, you might have found the array of interesting styling and costuming choices in the world of K-pop every bit as exciting and fun as I have. There exists a deep well of music videos, concerts, and VCRs produced for our consumption, each as dazzling and entrancing as the last. My personal favourites are when the stylists delve into the creepy and bizarre to help tickle our spoopy bone. Today's project comes from a particularly tasty morsel of creepy mask content. And by the way, if you're new here, my name is Niw and I love creepy masks. The 2017 music video for Simon Says by NCT 127 is not only a buffet of creepy masks, it's also a bop. I don't really know what's going on in this music video, but I can tell you I was instantly absolutely desperate to get my claws into recreating one of these masks. There's a few interesting possibilities, but my favorite by far is the lace gas mask. There's something so creepy about the marriage of a gas mask with lace. Gas masks are already chilling by themselves, the combination of the unnatural large eyes and long snout. Gas masks are most commonly associated with war and disease, so the introduction of lace makes you wonder just what kind of character thought to cover a gas mask in lace. Lace gas masks are creepy and beautiful, and I want one. So my mission is now, how do I go about getting my hands on this ultimately beautiful but useless piece of art? The answer is, we must make it. There's not a huge amount of reference images for the mask. Despite how beautiful it is, it only makes a fleeting appearance in the music video, since I'm sure NCT 127's fans would be very disappointed if the group were wearing a mask for the whole video. There are, however, some very nice, clear photos that were posted to the original designer's Instagram account. Upon closer inspection, I feel pretty confident saying the mask worn in the music video is probably a really old gas mask. I found a lot of cheap listings on eBay and I was very tempted to buy one, but I was concerned about two things. First, I really didn't want to knock on my door from customs asking me what I wanted with a vintage gas mask. I'm sure they've seen stranger amongst the incoming post, but since a gas mask is technically military gear, I didn't feel great about trying to get one through customs. Better safe than sorry. Secondly, I felt a little cheeky buying a gas mask and hot gluing lace on it when this channel is in fact all about creating things. I felt the challenge of building the structure from scratch calling to me. And who am I to ignore the siren call of tedious crafting side quests? There are many ways we could go about creating the structure of this mask, but I decided to take a little inspiration from a channel here on YouTube called Punished Props Academy. As the name suggests, they create props, generally using foam, and they very generously share patterns for their projects with their subscribers. Brainstorming ideas for how to create my mask, I remembered that Bill's mask of Loki had a very similar shape to the gas mask I'm trying to create. So I printed his wonderful pattern and made a few alterations to it. If you're interested in using the same pattern, please go check out their video and give them a big thank you for the free pattern. I'm using an old pair of glasses for the eyes of the mask, so I traced around the glasses and used the shape to alter the shape of the eyes on the pattern slightly. In the interest of using cheap, easily accessible materials, I chose to use soft drink cans instead of foam. You could certainly use foam, possibly to much greater success. Making sure to clean them thoroughly and be very careful not to slice myself, I transferred the pattern onto the cans, remembering to create a mirror image of every piece, giving us two symmetrical pieces of can to each pattern piece. The can is not thick enough to glue the sides together like you would when using foam, so we're going to be relying on a lake's worth of hot glue to keep the mask together. Once the soda can base was constructed, it became quickly obvious that the mask was pretty precarious, and I wasn't keen on relying on just the hot glue. The solution was to cut out the same mask pattern twice more, but using white felt. This method pays out threefold benefits, since it uses materials we already have, we don't need to paint it later, and the hot glue likes felt a lot more than metal, so it's much less likely to simply come apart in our hands. Hot gluing on the two new layers of felt concludes the base, but I was concerned the mask was too flat. If I'd made it out of thick foam and cut the foam at an angle, I would have retained a lot of the 3D shape Bill patterned it to have. My thin soft drink can method left the mask a little flat, so I glued thick, flexible wire inside the mask and covered it with strips of felt to keep it secure and neat. This concludes the base mask, and it's time to create what I'm calling the snout of the gas mask. For the top cylinder, I used a bottle that was made from thick plastic. At the time of filming this portion, my Dremel tool was my shiny new toy, and it made the process of deconstructing plastic bottles a lot easier. The bottom, larger cylinder is an old cosmetic container that I cut the top off. Using cardboard to create a flat top for both cylinders, the screw top from the same bottle I used earlier was inserted at an angle into the cardboard and held in place with a river of hot glue to allow the cylinders to attach to one another at a strange angle. It's this weird angle that makes our mess of hot glue, soft drink cans, and plastic instantly recognizable as a gas mask. I didn't record! Ah! This thing came off. Hot glue, hot glue, hot glue, hot glue, hot glue. God damn. The next step is to take an 8-month break. This step isn't required, but I was slowly gathering interesting laces in ivory white and gold from Dongdaemun craft markets. The other reason I took such a long break from this project was that I wasn't sure how I wanted to attach the gas mask to, well, someone's head. I wasn't interested in replicating the original closure on the gas mask, especially since looking at photos of it, I couldn't actually puzzle out what was going on back there. 8 months later, my friend reported to me that NCT 127 was bringing out a new album in September, and I realized spooky season was upon us. So I finally devised a solution and pushed on. The first thing I did upon returning to the project was a simple whip stitch all around the outside of the mask. This was to stop the mask from separating along the edges if the hot glue failed on us. My love-hate relationship with hot glue has taught me it's often the most convenient solution, but also can never be trusted.
I trusted you!
The entire mask will be covered by lace, so this is just another structural detail to help the mask hold up to use. The final boring structural work that needed to be done before the fun part could begin was connecting 4 D-rings around the perimeter of the mask. The original has 6 straps, but seeing as our mask is not nearly as heavy as a real gas mask, I didn't think 6 straps were necessary. The D-rings were attached with a strip of felt looped through, then hot glued and whip stitched down. The one regret I have from this project is I wanted to disassemble this old pair of glasses and keep the silver rims intact on the final project. The original mask has a metal ring around the eye holes, and I liked the way that looked, but my Dremel tool was no match for the metal glasses with the attachments I have at the moment. Also, when I tried to bend the metal hoping it was brittle enough to snap, it just bent the frames out of shape and the lenses popped out. If anyone has any suggestions for what Dremel tool I'm meant to use in this scenario, if any at all, I would love to hear them. I had to resort to using the lens without the rims. Then I could finally break out the stash of glorious lace that I've been gradually dragon hoarding for months. The goal was to gather as many textures as possible and also to stay in a similar color range using white and off-white with a bit of gold. It's virtually impossible to gather the exact same laces as the ones used on the original mask, but I made sure to have the reference picture with me while I was shopping in order to find some trims that would imitate the general shapes and textures. I really wish I were a more organized person, then I would have kept a record of how much all this lace cost in the end. The best I can do is tell you they all cost around 1,000 to 3,000 won per yard. A good guesstimate. If you can only see 1 yard of the trim, it's because it was one of the more expensive laces, and if there's about 3 yards visible, it's likely a cheaper cut. It was only when it came time to start gluing that I realized the patterns in the lace are so visible on the original mask because there's a dark base color underneath. So, in order to better see the textures and patterns, I glued strips of a scrap black fabric on parts of the base. If I'd examined the source material in more detail in the beginning, I might have used a black felt to reinforce the mask, but in the end, I like how the part black, part white looks. I also can't take much credit for the layout of the lace. As I said earlier, I largely tried to follow the shapes and patterns I could see in reference pictures. When I'm putting together a project, I often brainstorm with my incredibly patient friends, and for this mask, I thought about using black lace to put a different twist on the original design. However, we scrapped the idea since I think most of the texture and interest that comes from using so many different laces would be lost if it were too dark. I do think it would be a really interesting idea to revisit this and choose a different shaped mask to cover in lace. I found a very cheap, very sweet bunny half mask online, which could look really cute and creepy if done well. I love the idea of a lacy bunny mask with big creepy red eyes. Let's return to the part of the project that caused me to put off finishing this for 8 months. The straps. The mask is also very front heavy thanks to the big ol' filter snout, so we definitely need some straps on the top. I thought about using Velcro, but as I was sitting at my desk contemplating what to do, I noticed the coil of gold rope sitting amongst my leftover lace, and I realized I could just string it through the D-rings and call it a day. 8 months of procrastination. The original NCT 127 music video this mask featured in really isn't all that creepy, but it's been at least 10 months since we shot our last spoopy mask video, and I'm a spooky gal. I like the creepy and weird, so I gave my girl Zelle a call since she's the perfect person for the job. Before we get into the reveals, if you have any suggestions for masks, props, or fashion bits and bobs you want to see made, I would love to hear them. Chuck them in the comments and like and subscribe for more content. Our intention was to shoot the reveals for this mask in the back streets of a random Seoul neighborhood, and we eventually sought refreshment at a local cafe. A refreshing apple tea was just what I needed. There were a few couples in the courtyard we were in who seemed like they were on first dates, and I think we owed them an apology because, well, Zell and her gas masks were. Also, bless Zell, who does anything we ask her to do, regardless of who's around to see. She's an indispensable help when I want to make a creepy video. Have a happy spoopy season, everyone, and a fantastic week. Bye!